Assalamualaikum. Today our group will be presenting our analysis title. This is China and the dynamic of international trade and a capital flow in 2017 until 2024. So the topic focus on how China international trade patterns and a capital movement have evolved over the past 7 years. So before I start to the detail about this topic, I want to introduce myself first. So my name is NUR'JILA binti SAFANIZAM and my matric number 300102. So as we know, China is one of the world's largest economy and plays a role significant in a global trade, and not only as the top exporter but also as a major destination for foreign investment and trade partnerships. So in this presentation, we will explore how China has responded to global challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic, trade tensions, and so on. And we will also highlight the key of finding based on the current data and share several policy suggestions that could help strengthen China's positions in the global economy.
Assalamualaikum. My name is NOORFIFI ADLIANA binti ZAINOL ABIDIN. My matric number 299812. So I will continue to present about the analysis of China's international trade trends from 2017 to 2024. China has shown a significant change in its international trade patterns over the 7 years period from 2017 to 2024. These changes are due to the influence of various factors, which is domestic economy, political shift, global shocks such as the epidemic, and international geopolitical tension. So in general, China still remains a major player in global trade, especially as the world's largest exporter. We can see here the graph of the China's export and import trends from 2017 to 2024. So we can see here the export value of China's in 2017 is 2,263.35 billion, and the import value is 1,843.79 billion. So this year marked a steady start to China's trade performance. Exports were significantly higher than imports, resulting in a trade surplus of about 420 billion. So this reflects China has a strong manufacturing base and global demand for its product. So in these years, China export goods such as electronic, machine, textile, and consumer product. Okay, next we move to the 2018, which is the export value is 2,486.7 billion, and the import value is 2,135 billion. So the details this year tell us the both export and imports increase compared to 2017. The export rose by over 200 billion and the imports by nearly 300 billion, and this indicating strong domestic demand and taste. So this also stable international trade relation of China. 2019, which is the export value is 2,499.48 billion, and the import value is 2,078.41 billion. So this year exports slightly increase while imports decline, and this could be an early effect of rising trade tensions such as the US-China trade war, and this year also and this war also give impact to global supply chains and demand. China faced a trade war with United States because of tariff in 2018 to 2019. In 2020, China faced a COVID-19 pandemic. So in this year, China decreased the value of export and import. So we can see here, export value is 2,589.95, and the import value is 2,065.96. So in this year, despite the global COVID-19 pandemic, China's export grew by almost 19 billion. So this may reflect global dependence restrictions on Chinese-made goods such as medical supplies, electronics during the crisis. In 2021, the export value is 3,360.2 billion and the import value is 2,679.41 billion. In this year, the export value jumped by more than 700 billion and imports by over 600 billion. This was likely due to global economic recovery and increased international trade activity post-pandemic. In 2022, the export value of China is 3,544.43 billion and the import value is 2,706.51 billion. This year the export growth continue now at a slower pace. Imports also increased slightly. So China maintains strong international trade performance during this year. Next, in 2023, the export value is 3,379.4 billion and the imports value is 2,556.94 billion. In this year, both export and imports declined slightly, possibly due to global economic slowdown, geopolitical tension or trade restrictions. This was a minor setback after strong growth in the previous 2 years. For the last year, which is 2024, the export value is 3,577. So the export value is 3,577.22 billion and the import value is 2,585.97 billion. So in 2024 shows that export bounced back and hit a new height, signaling recovery and increased global demand for Chinese goods. And import also rose a bit, showing steady domestic consumption. Despite showing a decline in China's export to the US and the state European Union since 2022, export to developing countries including Russia, West Asia and Africa have shown an increase. At the same time, China emphasized the dual circulations, which is a policy that have a strategy that promotes economic growth through the domestic market without relying too much on foreigner demand. So I think that's all for my part. Let's move to the key factors.
Now I will explain about the key factor that affected China trade performance from 2017 to 2024. So the first factor is a political tension and a foreign policy. So one big issue was the trade war with the United States. So the United States put the high taxes on many China product and China did the same to the United States. So this made it harder for China to export to the United States. And also there were restrictions on China tech company like Huawei. And this problem affects to China high tech export sector. The second factor that we find there is COVID-19 pandemic. At the beginning, COVID-19 caused factories to shut down and a delay in shipping. This can slow down trade, but later China become one of the top exporter of healthcare products such as face masks, glove and medical equipment. So in the long run, it helped China to export grow again. Third factor that is global economic conditions, or in many developed countries there was high inflation and slow economic growth. This is because of the people and company in this country both less good from China, which reduce demand for export. And the last one factor that we find is that this supply chain problem and shipping costs. And during this time, the global supply chain faced many problems. So ports were busy, container were stuck, and shipping costs went up. So this can make it more difficult for China to move goods in and out of the country quickly and cheaply. We move to the next part, that is trade surplus. So based on the graph, China export were higher than its imports almost every year from 2017 until 2034. So even though there were small drops, but exports stayed strong overall. So this shows that China consistently recorded a trade surplus, meaning they sold more goods to other countries than they bought. So this proves that China is the one and only strong trading nations with stable economic performance. So that's all for me, and we can move to the next part.
Assalamualaikum. My name is NURUL FATIHAH. Metric number 300308. For the next part, I will explain about major exporting product. In 2024, China continued to be Malaysia's largest export partner for the 16 consecutive years, with total export growing by garment, footwear and textile will also export to Malaysia, serving the needs of local consumers. Agriculture is good, including farm product and vegetable oil, add further diversity to this trade relationship. The dominance of E&E, machinery and chemical product is no coincidence. Its roots in the economic strategies and industrial policy of both nations. Malaysian manufacturing sector depends on China's robust supply of low-cost, high-tech components. As a global electronic leader, China supplies a broad range of essential parts needed for Malaysia assembly and re-export activity. Meanwhile, China export of machinery and equipment support Malaysia industrial transformation. The availability of affordable, large-scale machinery from China make it an ideal partner. Chemical products also remain crucial, fueling many of Malaysia's key industry. China's vast production capacity ensure a stable and reasonable price supply. China's manufacturing strength lie in its economy of scale, efficient logistics and diverse product range. Regional proximity along with trade agreement like RCEP make the China-Malaysia trade flow smooth and cost-effective. This relationship is strategic and interdependent. Malaysia depends on China for intermediate goods, while China sees Malaysia as an ASEAN partner, tightly linked to global value chains. To sum up, Malaysia major export to China in 2024 reflect a deep involving partnership, both on shared economic interests, industrial synergy, and strategic regional cooperation. That's all from my part. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is LAILATul SALSABILA binti MUHAMAD Halili. My number matric is 299247. So I will continue with my part, which is the impact of global issues on the trade in China's country. So I have found 4 issues, and I will explain the first issue, which is the war and political crisis. As I read and analyze this problem, the United States and China has experienced the trade war. This conflict involved both countries imposing tariff on each other's goods, primarily due to the United States concerns over trade imbalances and intellectual property theft. This led to some negative impact and leads to the disrupted global supply chain, decreased bilateral trade between both countries, and it has pushed China to find a new markets, particularly in Asia and Europe, despite China want to reduce profit margins. So the next is the second issue is pandemics. As we might see, the COVID-19 pandemics in 2020 severely disrupted global supply chain and leading to a delay, higher costs and economic downturns. It also has give us some negative impact to all countries, which is Malaysia, United States, China, also Europe and ASEAN country, to maintain their economic activity, to enhance their gross profit. So it leads to the China face factory closures, post congestion and a shortage global demand, and China capitalized on the surge in the demand for medical supplies and tried to boosting trade revenue as a strategy to maintain their business economics. To mitigate the risk, China also strengthened trade ties with ASEAN, Africa and Europe, and trying to reduce dependence on Western markets. So the next is economic recessions. China has faced and experienced 2 major economic challenges in 2008. The issue is the global financial crisis, which reduced export demand, and China also has experienced the post-COVID-19 global economic recessions in 2020 and until 2022 because of the pandemic of COVID-19 too. So it has caused by falling international demand due to lockdowns. Initially, exports of textile and electronics decreased, but later recovered with higher demand for medical and telecom products. China responds with a significant economic stimulus package to boost domestic to demand amid declining manufacturing orders and job losses. So the last point is global semiconductor shortage. As I know, China has emerged as a leader in technology with a various of companies like Huawei, Alibaba and Tencent becoming a global giants to make sure the business economic to involve not involved, but to maintain their gross profit country. So there are a lot of heavy investment in AI, 5G and green technology position China as an innovation leader. So China's ambition initiative like Made in China 2025 aim to upgrade manufacturing and achieve technological self-sufficient, but China has some problem and face the COVID-19 pandemic, and it also has impact to the global semiconductor shortage. This problem has impact to the industries like automotive and electronics. So China becoming on both a major producer and consumer, trying to face manufacturing slowdowns and reduce electronic exports. In response, China increased investment in its domestic semiconductors industry and also trying to introduce supportive policies and offer tax incentive to reduce reliance on imports. So I will pass the next slide. So that is all from me. Thank you.
Hello and hi, my name is AINA ZAID. My number matrix 302133. First, device export market. China need to reduce its depends on traditional market, just as United States and European Union, by expanding export to the developing countries such as Asia, Africa and West Asia. This help reduce geopolitical risk and trading recession. For example, ASEAN is now China's large trading partner with trades worth around $234 billion in the first quarter of 2025. Okay, next we have dual circulation strategy. China need to balance strengthening in developing market through innovation, consumer demand and income growth with active engagement in global trade. This strategy aims to increase the economic recession to external shock and ensure stable growth. Okay, and the last recommendation we have, developing green technology and clear energy export. China need to invest in green technologies such as renewable energy and EVs. Clear technology export to the developing market are set to increase to 43% by 2024. This support China goals of peaking carbon emission before 2030 and carbon neutrality in 2060. From 2017 to 2024, China has proven its ability as strong and flexible global economic power in faces various international trading challenges. As the second largest economy in the world, the role in increased promote through participate in World Trading Organization (WTO) and the implementation of strategic initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). Through this period, China experienced stable trading growth, but also faced major challenges such as trade war with United States, the COVID-19 pandemic, and global market uncertainty. Although trade grew slightly after 2022 due to external factors such as Russia-Ukraine conflict and supply chain disrupting, China remained nimble in adjusting in economic policy strategies such as expansion of export market to Asia, Africa and Asia, as well as the strengthening the dual circulation policy are the key to the long-term economic recession. Furthermore, the emphasis on the developing of green technology and clear energy in line with the goal of zero carbon by 2060 project strengthens China's position as the leader in international trading. China's capability in manufacturing, technology, innovation, and logistics are expected to continue to support its role as the world leading economic power. That's all for us. Thank you.